because we're all in it together. For those who are in it with us, we decide on what's the next best course of action together, knowing what's already important and knowing what already we have to have. I mean, we can't talk about education if we don't even have food to provide for the children. What's the point of sitting down in a formal class setting and we can't provide food for that formal class setting or potable water? So we have to think in terms of starting from the bottom. When the Europeans settled here, when they came over, they didn't just hop off the boat and just, the good ship Jesus and just start, or the Mayflower just start knowing what to do here. No, they met us, made us here. We showed them what to do. And through time, learning how to do certain things and who our enemies was, et cetera, they learned how to slowly get us out of the way, because they had a big, which was the whole country. So which is a result of what's taking place today. So I'm saying that to say, touching on not on what you said, but what other brothers were saying about threats coming in. And, we got to have the place in order to screen out these threats. So the most important thing, to addressing your question, would be the actual land, which we have some land that's being put on the table right now that we're seeing what's going to develop with this particular tract of land in a particular location that we have in mind for our nation. And then from there, we'll go into, the building of what's going to be on the actual land.
I can understand. But I guess with the land, my next question would be the protection part of it. Of course, the powers that be, anytime they see us congregating, they're going to have an issue with that, or trying to figure out a way, or like you say, they're going to take it as a threat. So what is your standpoint as far as like withstand, or do you not even care about being, a threat to them? Is it just to the, I understand the whole purpose is basically for the betterment of our community. And, of course,
absolutely,
just like with, Black Wall Street or whatnot, they came and bombed everything, tore everything up. And just like with all of our thriving communities that we had before in the 70s, they just came and threw all these drugs, heroin, crack in the 80s, and it's all work. So what can we put in our place to the point where we're going to be able to protect ourselves?
Well, that's a good question, and we do appreciate you asking that question, because it's a very valid question.
Very good question.
And the difference between our approach now and the approach that was taken then is, of course, we're all looking at the past to see how we can better move forward in the future. If you don't know your past, then you don't know where you're going, because you run into the same issues. So the difference in the approach that we're taking today is, one, we're not taking an approach from within the United States government trying to pass policies to stop certain things or get certain things put in place for us. We've developed our own government. And so we're going to control what's coming in, because we're going to be controlling our own borders. Whereas when you're in an open city, let's say like any modern city, let's just say Chicago, for example, and you develop, let's say the Black Panthers in their prime controlled a certain area, where they had to be active outside to keep certain things out of the community, but they still couldn't stop the police that was a part of the government from riding down the street. Still couldn't stop ambulance or the fire truck, because this is part of the government. So all they could stop was something they saw as an immediate threat. So they were kind of open in regards, but they did do the best they could given what they had at the time to try to stamp out certain issues that was arising in the community, because they were smart enough to know that they had to do something. They couldn't pray about it without acting on it. Maybe they prayed about it and then they acted on it. But what they say, faith without works, you can't just talk about it and not be about it. If you see a problem in the community, you got to get active in the community to do something about it. But see, because this government is set up in such a way where it accepts any and all things in, and we're just susceptible to the liquor store on the corner because somebody can just decide they want to build it there. This is American law. If they have the right permits and the right zoning, they can build what their place of business there, which may be in direct conflict with the community right around the corner. Maybe we don't want a liquor store there, but we couldn't stop it from happening. Even with all the rallying, even with all the city hall meetings, it was just nothing to do to stop this particular store from opening up. Because again, you can't stop business from happening, but at the same time, you got to look at what the business is. And so, because this is the way America is set up, kind of set up to fail, and it is failing. The currency is failing, the politics is failing, the country is failing. So far as because it was built off of the backs of people who got no credit for the building process. You know, the same people who were at the bottom are the same people that built the White House in which they live in, even designed it. You see what I'm saying? So when you got a people that's being not considered in the building process of to the point where it's enough change to affect how our children are educated, how our elders are treated in their old age, how the youth is being brought up to be productive for the community, then it's imperative that we decide, you know what, we're not going to keep crying about it. We're not going to keep marching in the street just to take all that energy and walk it off. Now we're tired and everybody go back home. No, we decided, look, we have a right to form our own government. We have a right to protect our own borders. And if we look at the past for both the pros and the cons, one of the things that kept communities safe was a gate. Now, when I mean a gate, let's think of in terms of a wall of some sort. Don't even have to be a big wall. It could be a 35-foot wall. Maybe it's, let's say, 7 or 9 feet thick. You know, not a big wall, but enough of a wall where you ain't going to just drive a truck through it. Enough of a wall where if you want to get access, you're going to go to the front gate to get access to come in.
Yes.
You ain't going to just roll up in there. So these are types of things that we have to be considering on the building process as far as protection, because you got to have the environment protect itself.
But you're right. You're right, definitely.
This is the reason why places like the Vatican is still able to be around. The Vatican is sovereign land. It only sits on 110 acres, but it has a 40-foot wall going all the way around it. And it sits in the middle of Italy. Now, Italy is its own government, and the Vatican is its own government. But you can't just roll in the Vatican without going through the front gate, unless you're going to blow up the wall. And they got people who patrol the wall, et cetera, et cetera. So these are small little measures that we can take to secure ourselves before we even talking about the threat coming in. You know, the wall could deal with the threat on the outside, but even get into the community. You know,
so basically you're saying set it up as a I'm sorry to cut you off, but so basically you're saying set it up similar to I would say a country club. I mean, they have these Jewish communities around here in Miami. Of course, you have to go through a gate, get buzzed in, you know, and the setup. I mean, I don't know who knows what's going on in there. I mean, I know you see all you know, a nice golf course, tennis courts, and this and that, but you also see these big homes, and that's all you see, you know. But you know that the police, you know, they have their own security to the point where if there's a problem that they can't handle, then that's the only time that they'll call the city police or anything like that. So, I mean, that it definitely makes sense. I was thinking along those lines also. Pretty much like a country club. Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, you guys definitely answered my question. I'm sorry. You guys definitely answered my question. Yes, sir. And you guys have a good night. And I'm going to let you, open up the lines. I don't want to mud it up. But thank you so much.
No, take your time. We appreciate you. We have a lot of people from Miami that called in. And that's a blessing. We really appreciate y'all taking out your time on a Saturday night, because with our people, Saturday night is party time. So for all the people to, get on the line and tune in from the East Coast and the West Coast, we really, really gratefully appreciate you calling in. And we need these questions. Like the questions you raised are very, very important. Very, very important. And these are the things that we're discussing, because we talk about us being a nation. These are the questions that people are raising. Well, how are we going to live? And da, da, da. But the main thing we got to do is get rid of our baggage. When we're going to live on our own land, we have to stop thinking like Europeans. We have way too much stuff. I was looking online yesterday, and they show you how to build an earth bag round house. And those are those old indigenous houses that our ancestors used to build. Today, we have to ask that question to our community of our people. Would they be willing to live in these beautiful bag houses that are amazingly made? But would they live in them because they're like an ancient, indigenous, sustainable house? People are like, oh, I got 15 screen TVs. I got to have my cable. So you got to get rid of all that mentality if you're going to live sustainable, if you're going to live indigenous. Because when we were living indigenous, we didn't have cable. We didn't have 15 and 25 inches screen TVs and all the things that we collect. As in this country, there's so many hoarders. So that's one of the things that we have to address also as living as a community. Please don't come with your hoarding mentality. Please don't come with your European mentality. Come with a mentality of native, indigenous, living off the land. Come with the mentality of being sustainable. Come with the mentality of loving the sun, moon, stars, and the earth, and living the land, and appreciate Mother Earth and what Mother Earth gives you, and that you can make the most of it. But if you come with that European mentality that you got to have this, you got to have that, it's not going to work because you're thinking in a wrong mindset. So, brother, you was absolutely correct for asking those questions and tuning in, and we really do appreciate you because it's nation building time. And we keep telling the brothers and sisters, either you're in or you're out,
Yes, ma'am.
Time
yes,
is
ma'am.
now, Yeah, so I'm glad that you
and
did
I would
get
also
through.
like to say, I would also like to say that it's not that we don't want to accept if somebody has a particular way of thinking that they're bringing in. Just if whatever way of thinking that you're bringing in, let it be positive. If you're going to bring in a European
Absolutely.
type of mentality, then bring in the best of what the Europeans had to offer when they was doing well. If you're going to bring in a black mentality, then bring in the best of what the people who consider themselves black had to offer, because these are the things that we can build on. It's not about that, a race can't help or outside race can't help. There's a lot of things that white people, Moors, Spanish people, and other peoples across the board, indigenous peoples, have been able to contribute to humanity. And so as long as we take in the best of what they had to offer, then we can move forward. But when we start bringing in the racisms, the schisms, the different religions that divide us, then those are the things that we want to keep on the outside. And because we are a nation, we have the ability to screen what mentality we're going to let in. The same way the United States can screen, what mentality they're going to bring in for somebody that wants to be a U.S. citizen. You're going to go through immigration. You're going to do a background check. They might even do some kind of psych evaluation, even see your background, who your parents are, because you might be a neo-Nazi's, fourth generation. You know what I mean? And so through doing a thorough background check, they can find out, hey, he came from a neo-Nazi background. Maybe this might not be the best person to bring into the country. Not to say the neo-Nazis are all bad people. Maybe somebody brought a bad background, changed their lifestyle, and was productive. Point being is the nation controls what's happening within the nation. When we stop controlling what happens within our nation, then this is when the fall of the nation takes place from that perspective. The same way it happened before with our chief being brought up on false charges. The problem that got him to where he was at will happen within the community, and it wasn't enough countermeasures to prevent that. And that can go into a lot of other reasons. It could be because of the prophecy that was foretold, or it could be for something simple like it just wasn't enough stuff in place to stop these types of energies from rising up, because they're always going to arise. Whenever you have people who have something, you're going to have people who want the power of that. And so a lot of people are reaching for the power. A lot of people want the money. And so you have people that misuse and mishandle a lot of different things, both people and finances. But because we're in a better space and we want to take the best of, humanity and move forward from that perspective, from that position, is how we ask people to come in. Bring your gifts. Bring your solutions. Don't bring your problems. And if you have problems,
Mm-hmm.
be honest about the problem so we can help address the problem so that you can get rid of the problem.
Absolutely.
Because if we don't know that you have a problem, we can't help address it. If you're hiding something, that's why when I interview people, I tell them, look, we can build off of honesty. That's the best foot to start to move forward. When you start off honest, you can build on that. But when you start off lying, it's now everything you're building on top of that is based off of a lie, which means that it has a very shakeable foundation. And we want to remove shakeable foundations. And we want to have a sound foundation, as in solid, as in firm, unshakable, as some will call the ratib, the unshakable faith. So we want to make sure that the foundation is solid so that we can move forward, because on solid ground we can build. Even Jesus, the Messiah, had enough sense to say that it was the fool that built his house on sand, and it was the wise who built his house on solid ground. So with that being said, the nation is going to be in a position to control what's coming in and what's coming out, the same way this nation controls what's coming in and what's coming out, what laws are passed, what laws aren't, what's on the table, what has to be removed from the table, how are we going to address the African-American people, how are we going to address the Polish, the French, the Jews, the different backgrounds that's within this nation. Everybody has something on the table. It just so happens that we happen to be the people who are not unified enough that even in that form of government we don't have enough say. So this is another reason why we decided that this was the best position to take for us to build.
Absolutely. So do you have any more questions, brother? Did we address your questions?
No, ma'am. That was that. You guys, like I said, I'm just smiling over here just because it's just an array of knowledge just coming. I love it. I just want to listen. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Thanks for calling. We appreciate you listening. And yes, and always feel free to go to the site, our website, because we have a wealth of information to address any of your issues and concerns. Knowledge is power, and the power is right there on our page. Plenty of information to assist you. And don't, feel free to. It's www.unnm.org. You got it? So bookmark that for yourself. Okay, brother?
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And
thank y'all.
It's a lot of pages. It's a lot of information, but go through it. I mean, the Constitution, our Constitution, when you read that, it will touch your heart. It's amazing. And then when you read about the Yamasee and why we're Yamasees and why we're Moors, you will understand way more. I mean, we have a lot of Moorish science and our Moorish brothers and sisters, sectors and pages, but when you go to our page, you will see infinite wealth of knowledge and taking you to where you need to go. Okay, brother?
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, peace and blessings. And give thanks for calling.
Peace, brother.
Okay. Peace.
Did we have any other issues on the social media before we start to close out? We have about 26 minutes left on the show, so I want to try to make sure we can address all the questions before we start to go into the closing.
Yes, we have one more on social media. They basically said, how are we going to pull this off? What is our goal and structure of us getting together to build a community to live together?
Okay, I'm gonna try to follow that. It seemed like it was a little scattered in the communication.
Yeah, it was scattered. It's like, they're I guess they're at work or something, because it's like they stop, they get one question, but basically, they say they're loving the show is really good, but the part they don't understand is how is the community going to come together?
Okay, well, first it's imperative to know that the community has already come together, and now we're just an open community for more bright and intelligent minds and loving souls to come in. So the community is already here. The nation is already here. The flag is already flying. The Constitution is already presented. The Declaration of Independence has already been put out for the world to see. And so you're looking at a nation of indigenous sovereign people up under our Constitution and our holy and divine flag. Now, dealing with how we're going to pull it off, we're going to pull it off by sticking to the blueprint, the guide, in which the Mahdi, Naya Malachi Zoduk Yor-El, has brought to us. He is that guide. And without him, we wouldn't be here.
Yes, he is.
So the guide presented us with a constitution, a divinely inspired, organically drafted constitution on how we should live, how we should form our nation. And then from that perspective, anything within the nation, we have the ability and the intellect to bring that forth and bring that to light. So that's how we're going to pull it off. And it's been pulled off. We are here. That's why we're able to take the questions. That's why we're able to address the issues live on our national broadcast right now as radio for the benefit of those who may not know that we are here, and the difference between what we present and what others have been presenting for so long. There are groups and pockets of, as the sister said, other Moors out there, but they're not moving in the capacity in which we're moving. That doesn't take anything away from them. It just means that they're doing what they're doing and we're doing what we're doing. So we have our own constitution. We are not a company. We're not a company. We're not dealing with bylaws, company policy, none of that. We're dealing with organic constitutional law. Constitution, according to the United States of America, Statute 6 is the highest law of the land. And that's in conflict with the Constitution is null and void. That lets people know how powerful the Constitution is. Now, with that being said, you can have rights and you can waive those rights because you have that ability too. So this is why we're here, to be able to present the facts, so that we can eliminate the obstacles, which are confusion and illusion, things that are not real. We are real. We are here. And we have the credentials and we have the divinely inspired documentation to support our position as Yamasee, Native American Moors of the United Nuwaubian Nation. Yamasee meaning gentle, meaning kind. So we're very generous, loving people. And because of that fact, we have our arms open, but we don't have it open to any and everybody. We only have it open to those bright and loving people who want to build together and don't want to come in and destroy. So anybody that's
and that are sincere.
Right, that are sincere. So if people looking to build, help build, be a part of the ground floor, to help build our nation to the capacity that it needs to be in order to take care of all of us, then we welcome that. We welcome that with open arms. We welcome that with an open heart. And we ask for the Most High to give us patience with each other so that we may be able to deal with the small things that come along the way when you have different beings from different walks of life all together. So as long as we have a direction and we have a focus and we deal with that direction, that focus, but then we won't have time for all the things that divide us and distract us from building what we need to build. It's not about having a glamorous building, with a lot of decor on it. It's not about holding private classes in a building for everybody to go back home and work at their CBS job, or their 9 to 5 or whatever they're doing. It's about us being free and independent. If we're going to say that we're free, then we have to exercise that freedom. How free can you be if your source of income is coming from the same people who put us in the issues that we have? So the true freedom, which is what our teacher was showing us from the get-go, which is why he produced what we call, some people called it peddling, but those who knew better called it propagating. They were out propagating, correct information to the public with our own information. That was the job, to get people to come in and see what was being built inside of the community and how that could benefit not only them but their children. And so it was a very free and independent community. That's not to say that the people who work jobs were bad people, but the point being is if you're going to be free, you have to be in control of your own income. If somebody is paying you a paycheck, they have ability to cut that paycheck off. Companies can close down. They can move. Look at what happened with Ford Motor Company. Look at what happened with Chrysler. People work their whole lives and lose their pension.
Radio Shack just went out of business.
Yeah, this is what happened when other people are in control of your destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. And whoever worked for Radio Shack and had money tied up in Radio Shack from an employee standpoint were the ones who suffered the most. Now, if you're on a corporate level and you're dealing with it from a business owner perspective, that's a different topic. But most people who draw a paycheck are the ones who have the ability to suffer. And so when we rely on the government to pay us a pension and pay us security, which ain't even enough to pay your rent, and we got our elders retiring and still got to go out and work, this is a problem.
Yeah.
And so we see this problem, and so it's imperative that we put things in place as we build our nation up so that we can alleviate these problems, so that the elderly can sit back in their life, in their last days, and not have to worry about being under all the stress of being out in the public, when they should be somewhere relaxing, transforming into wisdom to help bring up the next generation. But now because they have to be out there, they got to still be knowledge. They can't even go to wisdom anymore. They got to be knowledge now. They got to be out front. We got our elders out front. They should be relaxing. Even our teacher said in public, "Don't you see me doing less and less of this? I'm trying to get the young people up front." So the goal was to have things in place so that the elderly could afford to sit down. But if they're in a position where they can't afford to sit down, and the youth have to work 3-4 jobs just to pay, basic rent, or to live in an environment where your children don't have to be subject to prostitution and drugs coming out the front door. So, it's important that we have things in place as a nation to deal with these issues because they're real issues. And if we don't take them as such, then we're going to fall victim to them over and over again. And as our Maku said, we're going to keep running into this thing. And this thing that we keep running into is going to be life. And until we master it, then we're going to be able, that's when we're going to be able to move it out the way. And so, it's imperative that we come together on these points, on these facts, deal with them point for point, take the solutions from the people who have ideas or some kind of speciality in moving us in a better direction, because we the people hold the key, hold the answers to our own problems. The helping hand we look for at the end of our own arm. And so that's why our Constitution starts off, we the people. Same way that the United States Constitution started off, which they got from the Iroquois Native Americans who shared that with them. So it's all about the we. It's all about the us. It's all about the our. It's all about team. As the sister said who called in from Florida, teamwork makes the dream work. That's absolutely true. There's no I in team, but there is an I in win. And in order to win, you have to form a team. Michael Jordan, as good as he was, could do nothing without the other individuals with him on the court. He doesn't have the ability to beat a whole team by himself. So the goal is for each link to be as strong as the next. And as long as we are working to perfect ourselves and we are being studious and devout in our way of life, and the things that are governing us, then, we'll always have a collective group of leaders. The problem comes in when you have a bunch of followers and not enough leaders. We need leaders.
Absolutely.
We need people to be able to lead, even if it's in your own household, because the nation starts in your house. How you take care of your family, the communication you have with your wife, if you have one, how you're raising your children, what you think is acceptable or not acceptable. These, what is a nation but a collective of families? And so it's imperative for the families to get on one accord, and this is why we have a family guide, so that there is a structure in place for everybody to be able to build. We can add to, but we don't need to take away. So these gifts that our teacher, our Maku, our Supreme Grand Master has given us as a gift, if we don't use them, then, what's the point of complaining? If you got the manual on how to get out of poverty, but you don't want to open the manual, what's the point of complaining? So we have the solution. Now all we have to do is use what he's given us. He was the one that was sent to us, and he has covered every base. And so even for those people who don't agree with him as the man, can't disagree with the teachings, not on a factual basis. I've run into countless people who always had a problem with our Maku, but never had a problem with proving that the information was built on lies or not right and exact in its proper perspective. So as we say, look, let's eliminate how we personally feel about the man. Let's deal with the information. Let's deal with that which can move us to the next level. Because we're tired of seeing the violence in the street. We're tired of seeing our children getting gunned down. We're tired of seeing the elderly being sick and put up in the homes with people not caring for them and abusing them and locking them in their rooms and doing all kind of ungodly things to the elderly in these nursing homes. So if we don't put things in place to help stop these things from happening, then we're going to constantly run into a situation where these things keep manifesting themselves. And the reason why they manifested themselves is because somebody didn't decide to put an end to it. And this is where it starts at. That is the individual thinking. Here's the problem. Now let's find a solution. And then there are always many people who see the same problem, and now you have a collective. Now you have a group. Now you have a good core to get things done. You know, all it took was a few founding fathers to build what they call a whole great nation. They had a plan. They had a direction. Of course, they faced adversity, too. They was trying to get away from the crown. You know, taxation without representation. Fled the monarch to get over here to learn how they could survive here. We taught them how to survive here. You know, there are children.
Yes, we did.
You know, when it all gets boiled down to it. You know, they can be white and they can say they Yamasee, they can say they whatever, but we have to stand up and say, yes, those are our children. And so
that's right.
We have to learn how to get everything back in its right perspective. There's no point in talking about melanin, talking about non-ether, and all of the things that make us feel important on an individual level if we can't even utilize that from a practical level and speak to people on the street. You know, people talk about how black is powerful, you know, non-ether, this, that, and then they walk out on the street, see that people can't even speak to nobody. You know, or help somebody, and he won't open the door for their own women. You know, somebody coming in the store, they don't have enough in their heart to hold the door for them. You know, I mean, these types of teachings have to stop, period. And so that's why we're here to set the record straight. That's why we have Right Now this radio, so that we can have a national broadcast and build from the collective minds of the people on proper direction from the round table on how we can move forward. If we don't do that, we're going to have a problem. Do we have any more questions?
You really, no, we don't have any more because I just asked them, you answer the question? It was like very much so. Like everybody, they just want to listen to you at this point because you're answering the question. You know, you answered the question is what is a community? You know, how can we legally form a community? What is a community living exactly? How will a community living benefit our children and our adults? And what are the benefits of living in a community that is of, for, and by the community? You have taken all these points that will be and what is a community in this address this evening, and they're like, thank you. Everybody's like, thank you. And it was like, great show, very informative. You know, and, you know, it's a blessing on a Saturday evening to have as much as our switchboard is lit up with all the different area codes from the West Coast to the East Coast. You know, it's amazing. And we give thanks that there's nothing but positive people tuning in with positive energy. And that's when you know you're on the right track, because we're attracting light of positivity. And the negative cannot even come our way because our force is so strong that they have to glide off and go somewhere else because we're now moving forward and doing great things. And it all starts in that brain. That's the most powerful tool and weapon you have. So thank you, Naku.
It's my pleasure.
Really
I'm here to help and I'm here to serve.
Oh, definitely. And that you're doing. That you most definitely are doing. And we appreciate you. Is there anything else that you want to say before we have our next 10 minutes that you want to address about community living, like how we should be ready and how we should be preparing in the next 10 minutes to sum it up before we close?
Yeah, I would just encourage each and every person that's listening to this broadcast to come check us out. We have a national website that you can find our government, www.unm.org. And from there, there's a tab called Citizenship where a person can go through the formality of gaining access to our nation so that they can help build from the inside out. It's always good to take good advice from people who are on the outside, but the best way to move forward is for those people with the good advice who be happy with where they're at, will want to come on board and help us build from the inside out. That's key. So check us out on the web. You can also check us out on Facebook. Our Facebook page is UNNM, Facebook.com/UNNM, United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, and Facebook.com/Nuwaubian Moors. My personal page, I have a government page as well on Facebook, Facebook.com/Makuchi Black Eagle. It's a lot of good informative stuff there on the social media site that I forward. I try to give something positive every day. Sometimes I'm not as present in the social arena because I'm doing a lot of stuff on the back end, with our nation. But we're always open. We have a national number that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that you can call in. That number is 1-855-486-8666. Or you can call in at 855-HTMUNNM. Those are the two ways you can call in. And we encourage those people who may not receive anybody on the other end to leave a voicemail. We do get back to each and every person that has enough voicemail that we're not able to pick up the call. So just be patient. There's a lot of people calling in every day from all over the world, from out of the country.
Absolutely.
So, if people really had an opportunity to see our call log, they would be overwhelmed at how big it is from people just calling in all over the world every day, outside the country who are liking, how we're moving forward and want to participate and be involved, even if it's through, a monetary means. Some people can be involved because they might be in another country, which we addressed, I think, a few shows ago with people that was calling outside the country, asking how could they be a part of it, but the thing about that was, in order to be a part of a country, you have to be present in the country. Well, it don't mean you have to be there. You can still leave, but you have to come back. You have to show your face. We got to be able to screen and see how people are, how people are moving. So it's important that the people who want to contribute in the best way they can. If that means through financial means, we encourage that. If that means through their energy, giving their time, we encourage that. A lot of times, even about the monetary value is about, what you can do, what you can be doing right there from where you are, even without giving money, as long as what you're doing is towards the advancement of our nation. So, whatever the case may be, we encourage all help to do just that help, best way that they can. There's no big I's and no little U's over here. That's something that I was taught by my elders in my family, and I think it goes a long way.
Me too. Yes.
Are you here? I thought I got dropped for a minute there, guys.
Yeah, but I got right back in. Drop me, I'm going to get back up. And I got back in.
Yeah. So if anybody...
We gave a lot of good...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, if anybody would like to be involved, again, visit our website, www.unnm.org, or our social media site, Facebook.com/United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, or Facebook.com/Nuwaubian Moors. And also we have our broadcast here. You can tune in every Saturday, every 3 Saturdays, then we take a break. But you can tune in on Saturdays at 7 p.m. On Right Knowledge Radio. This is our national broadcast where we reach out to sincere people who may have some direction on how they feel they can help us move forward, or people who just want to feel a positive vibe, want to be a part of something constructive, and just listen. Either way, we appreciate all your efforts. We appreciate all your support. We appreciate all you guys' love and financial contributions.
Tuning in.
On a daily level. We couldn't do it without you guys, and we know that, and that's why we're very appreciative. So just make sure that if you don't catch us on the broadcast, you can listen to it at your convenience on Right Knowledge, blogtalk.com/Right Knowledge Radio. We have about 5 minutes left in the show, so we're going to be winding down. We're going to let good old Teddy get us out of here. And if anybody doesn't have anything at this time, I guess we'll go ahead and get ready to close out.
Say, wake up,
ready for next
everybody.
Saturday.
And thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we're going to let Teddy give you the message. Thanks for tuning in. Spread the word. And keep doing great things. And we appreciate you for taking out your time to tune in with us. Peace. And wake up, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Peace.
Indeed. Appreciate everybody for coming out, showing their love and support.
That's right. Why do?
Right on.
And Teddy, of course, he's not saying much, so we have to see why he won't take us out. But it's okay, Teddy. It's all good in the hood. We got you. At least you were good for the opening, so that's a good thing. But it's all good.
All right, well, then we'll just close out. We would like to have Teddy bring us out of here, but we'll go ahead and just close out the show. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody back next Saturday at 7 p.m. sharp, with their notepad and their pen and paper and their solutions on how we can work together to build a better future for ourselves and our children. Well, I do, everybody. Peace.
Oh, I have a message from a brother from New York before we close. It's a brother named Jawara, like my son. He said, tuned in, nice job, more power, love, and light. So thank you,
Wonderful.
Brother Jawara, for tuning in. All my New York people that tuned in, my East Coast, my West Coast, our international. We have a lot of Japanese, a lot of Asian that hit me up, and they're all tuned in. So we give thanks for everybody worldwide, tuning in with us and, just spreading the love. And we appreciate you and know that you are appreciated. And we want to shout out Nin Coconut L for tuning in as well. We have to shout out to him. Okay?
And we definitely have to give a special thanks to the sister that traveled all the way from the United Kingdom. From London to come over and visit the family. Sister Aminette Ra, who's here with us. She did call in, and she made her touchdown in the U.S. It's like a fourth time coming. It's a lot of love that we get over in the U.K. Some come and actually come to the land, and some just give their love and support from abroad. We appreciate it either way. So give a special thanks for that sister for coming in and spreading some love and wisdom over the airway, and for actually being here to help participate in the physical aspect of building a nation. We'd like to give that special thanks to Sister Aminette Ra. And we'll look forward to everybody tuning in next Saturday at 7 p.m. sharp on Right Knowledge Radio. I'll do, everybody.
I think I hear Teddy. Don't you hear Teddy? I hear him. Mm-hmm.
The Labor Day sales event is happening now at your Desert Ford dealers. Through September 4th, save on select 2018 Ford trucks, SUVs, and cars. From F-150, Motor Trend's 2018 Truck of the Year, to Escape and Fusion, both with in-vehicle smartphone functionality. That's just the start. Visit buyfordnow.com and stop by your Desert Ford dealers to see how much you'll save on a new Ford this Labor Day. But hurry, all offers end September 4th, only at your Desert Ford dealers. The Labor Day sales event is happening now at your Desert Ford dealers. Through September 4th, save on select 2018 Ford trucks, SUVs, and cars. From F-150, Motor Trend's 2018 Truck of the Year, to Escape and Fusion, both with in-vehicle smartphone functionality. That's just the start. Visit buyfordnow.com and stop by your Desert Ford dealers to see how much you'll save on a new Ford this Labor Day. But hurry, all offers end September 4th, only at your Desert Ford dealers.